Fliporto, 7ª Festa Literária Internacional de Pernambuco.
Olinda, tens a paz nos mosteiros da Índia. Tu és linda, pra mim és ainda minha mulher.
Chegamos ao 14º painel. Teremos nesse momento a presença de Abel, Bari e Atwan em conversa com Geneton, Moraes, Neto. Vão abordar o tema a Primavera Árabe, o que está certo, o que está errado, e o que isso vai dar.
Bom, boa tarde a todos. Bom, nem preciso dizer que os vilões, os carrascos, os anti-heróis exercem uma fascinação sobre os jornalistas, né? Uma vez eu perguntei ao Joel Silveira, que era considerado o maior repórter brasileiro, quem ele gostaria de entrevistar. Ele me respondeu na hora: Adolf Hitler. Eu perguntei, o que é que você perguntaria a ele? Ele disse, olha, eu não faria uma pergunta, eu faria um comentário. Eu diria, Hitler, você deveria ter insistido em sua carreira como pintor. O mundo ia ganhar um pintor medíocre, mas, em compensação, perderia um tirano sanguinário. Aí o Joel era bem-humorado, dizia, nesse momento iam entrar 4 soldados na sala, me levar para a masmorra, eu desapareceria, mas pelo menos eu teria dado o conselho que eu gostaria de dar a Adolf Hitler. Hoje nós estamos aqui com Abel, Bari e Atwan, que teve uma chance raríssima de entrevistar um personagem que terminou se transformando no terrorista mais procurado do mundo, Osama Bin Laden. Jornalisticamente, Osama Bin Laden era ouro puro, né? Valia $1 milhão. Para si e para o Departamento de Estado também, eles ofereciam 25 milhões pela captura do Osama Bin Laden. E ele viveu uma situação que outros repórteres pagariam $1 milhão para viver. Essa chance de se encontrar pessoalmente com o líder da Al-Qaeda, numa missão, uma entrevista que foi cercada de uma missão super secreta, né? Ele vai explicar os detalhes aqui, como é que ele chegou até lá, foi uma aventura digna de cinema. A gente vai ouvir daqui a pouco as opiniões do Abel, Bari e Atwan sobre a Primavera Árabe, mas para começar eu acho que todo mundo tem essa curiosidade sobre esse encontro pessoal dele com Bin Laden. Eu gostaria de perguntar por que você foi escolhido para entrevistá-lo.
First, good evening to everybody. My ear is so small, that's why. First, I am honored to be here to meet these friendly faces. Before I came, I noticed that the Brazilian national football team was playing against Egypt. So I thought nobody will come to listen to me. So I am honored actually to have such lovely audience. Maybe it's not for me, it is for Bin Laden. We in the Middle East, we are actually passing through a very historical moment. The Arab Spring actually is the best thing happened to us for the last 100 years. We are a wealthy nation. Our oil revenues more than 700 to 800 billion a year. And despite that, we are actually very backward, very late, ruled by dictators. Imagine 50% of the Arab population, 350 million, 50% of them under the age of 24. And the average age of our rulers, 70 years. So to see the gap, and despite they are old, usually old people are very kind. But our rulers, they are vicious, they are brutal, they are suppressive, and they are corrupt. So this is actually the situation in the Arab world which ignite the Arab Spring, the Arab revolutions. So I am so pleased that at last democracy is reaching our part of the world. At last our people are enjoying the fruit of this democracy. We managed, or our people managed, to depose 3 dictators, Hosni Mubarak of Egypt, Zain al-Abidin bin Ali of Tunisia, Colonel Gaddafi of Libya, and God knows who will be next. But I am worried about this Arab Spring because the American, they would like actually to manipulate it, they would like to divert it, they would like to control it, and we see what happened in Libya, and we could see actually maybe a 3rd world war if Iran or Syria are going to be bombed.
Vamos voltar para o Bin Laden. Vocês... So back to Bin Laden. Por que o senhor foi escolhido para entrevistar Osama Bin Laden?
I wasn't chosen. I was the only stupid one who could actually sacrifice his life and go to this adventure. Geneton, you talked about millions. The only thing I got out of this interview is a diarrhea, vomiting, and actually to be followed by the FBI, CIA, and Stasi, you name it, all the intelligence service in the world. So it wasn't actually millions, it wasn't gold, it was, as I said, a very bad health because of the hygiene, because of the bad food, which I hope I can talk about it. I was the only Arab journalist who can interview Osama bin Laden. Why? Because our newspaper is a liberal newspaper outside the Arab government influence, so they don't have other choice, because any other Arab journalist wouldn't dare to publish an interview with Osama bin Laden. Who would do that? Who would actually endanger his life? And he could not come back. That's as simple as that. So I wasn't chosen actually because they have no other choice. And by the way, Osama bin Laden used to have ambassador in London, a representative in London. So all these talks about him as a terrorist and hated by the West, no, Tony Blair actually used to know that Osama bin Laden has ambassador. And when this ambassador whispered to me, "Do you like to meet the Sheikh?" I said, "Which Sheikh?" He said, "Osama bin Laden." My God, I couldn't say no because I will be considered as a coward. And in our tradition in the Middle East, you cannot be accused of being a coward. So I said, "Oh, yeah, yes. So, okay. So,
Can you read? O senhor teve de guardar segredo sobre esse convite? Bom, talvez a gente não tenha esquecido de falar no início aqui o seguinte: ele nasceu no campo de refugiados palestinos e vive em Londres já há algum tempo. E lá ele é sócio de um jornal árabe publicado em Londres. E nessa condição ele foi convidado para a entrevista com Osama Bin Laden. Então eu gostaria de saber, você teve de guardar segredo absoluto sobre esse convite. O senhor disse a alguém que iria falar com Osama Bin Laden?
I made a lot of mistakes in my life, but the gravest mistake, I didn't tell my wife. And actually, she was about to divorce me. I wish she did, anyway. So I kept it secret because, you know, wives are wives. You know, they want to own you, to control you under the name of protecting you. So if I did tell her that I'm going to interview Osama bin Laden, I think, you know, she will call the police. Or she will actually prevent me from going. So I kept it secret. I told only my assistant, and I gave her a list of my actually people who loaned me money and all my belongings. And I said, you know, if I don't come back, so you know, actually, all my belongings, all my wealth, everything. So, and please write something nice if I don't come back, you know. So, and this is the secret. It was very dangerous trip. It was a clandestine operation. They said to me, you go to Peshawar, and somebody will meet you there. What's his name? No, we cannot tell you. Where shall I go? We wouldn't tell you. When you reach Peshawar, phone us on this number. We'll tell you where to stay in a hotel. So it was very dangerous. And also, you know, I don't want the intelligence service to follow me and to kill him and to kill me. So also I tried, but I tried my best. And when I came back, honestly, I couldn't believe I'm still alive. I was pinching myself. Is it true? Is it true I am back? It is true I am safe. So my wife never forgave me, and thank God she didn't divorce me anyway.
Quer ouvir? Que tipo de risco físico você correu durante essa viagem, de Londres até a caverna no Afeganistão, onde você encontrou Osama Bin Laden? Como é que foi a viagem?
The trip, actually, the problem, the second leg of this trip was extremely dangerous. About 5 o'clock in the morning, somebody knocked at my door in the hotel. I opened the door. You know, when you sleep, it is very hot, and there is no air conditioning in that bloody hotel there. So I opened the door, and the man rushed in with his turban, with his, you know, Afghani clothes, and he threw a long shirt and a baggy trouser and a turban, and he said, put this on immediately. I said, but leave, you know, I am in my underwear. Please get out of the room. He said, no, I can't get out of the room. So I said, but I want to put on my clothes. Anyway, so he took me and then surrendered me to 2 young Taliban. They don't speak Arabic, my language, and I don't speak their Pashtun, and they have nothing to do with any foreign language, including English. So how I communicate with them? Just a smile and, you know, just like dumb and deaf language, you know, silent language. So anyway, they took me, you know, it was a little bit dark, and then they put me in a bus, little actually car, about 7 or 8 seaters. It is fit for 8 people. We were about 15 people in that car. How we squeezed in, I don't know, but I can't complain. And then to the part of the border, and they actually smuggled me through the border. And after we crossed to the other side, they told me we were walking through a minefield. So I said, minefield? He said, yes. I said, you know, was it risky? He said, yes. Okay, what will happen? It's all right. The problem is, when I went to Jalalabad, the hotel there, no electricity, no water, and the room service is, you know, a bucket of water and a candle. So you go to your room, and then, you know, you can't sleep because the bed is full of insects. You know, so you spend all the night, you know, scratching your skin because of the bites of that thing. But the most dangerous thing, actually, when I was taking to Tora Bora to see Osama bin Laden or to meet him, I don't know why they choose why they choose Tora Bora. He could come down to Jalalabad, but anyway, it was 8 hours circling around a mountains, and the road is digged for actually horses and donkeys, not for cars, and it is hardly enough for 1 car. So I was thinking all the way, so if another car came from the other direction, are we going to go down all the way after 3 hours or 4 hours? So honestly, my brain was working that way. Anyway, and the driver there, I don't believe he was maybe 17 or 18 years of age. I don't believe he ever had a driving test or a driving license. And he was driving on this road like as if he is in a motorway. So it was so scary, so frightening. But the worst thing happened when we closed to the mountain. It was, about 3,500 meters above the sea level. When we reached there, they stopped in the middle and they start removing rocks from the road. Rocks, very big rocks. And then when they finish, we continue, and I heard them saying to each other, it seems there will be more rocks falling, near the top. I said, sorry, more rocks? He said, yes, more rocks. I said, rocks will fall? He said, yes, will fall. Big as this? Yes, he said, yes. I said, okay, but it could kill us. He said, why you are worried? Last week, Abu Omar, Abu Qatada, Abu Hamza, they were in the car, a huge rock fall on them, and they are dead. They are in heaven. So don't want you to go to heaven? I said, I want to go to heaven, but not now. Maybe later, 10 years later, but not now. So that really was extremely, extremely dangerous until, I reached the cave, and this is another story.
Aqui no Brasil, há um ditado que diz que a primeira impressão é a que fica. Qual foi a primeira impressão que você teve do Osama Bin Laden quando o encontrou na caverna?
I admit, when I met him, when we arrived to the cave, it was freezing, about 25 degrees minus below zero. And a tall man, maybe, 190 centimeters, waiting for me in the front of the cave. So he is very handsome, very thin, and, he greeted me, hugged me, I admit. So it's Arabic tradition. When we meet each other, we hug and we kisses. Like when you kiss women, but different, yeah. So he took me inside the cave. He has a very peaceful face, soft-spoken, very polite, and he is a good listener. We in the Middle East, like you in Brazil, if 10 people sitting in the room talking politics, all of them talking at the same time, they don't listen to each other. And shouting, so the loudest, we believe that the louder you are, the more you are listened to, which is wrong. Osama bin Laden, he is not like that. He's called like British people. He listens to you, and he doesn't interrupt you. So I was shocked. I thought I will be with a terrorist who is very nervous, who is very radical, very extremist, but this wasn't the case at all. And, we actually slept in the same cave. The cave was 2 rooms. One was a living room. The other was a bedroom. And there were 2 beds. And it's not a proper bed like the one you sleep on. It is from the branches of trees there. And we were in the same cave, but not in the same bed, definitely. So and I assure you, he sleeps only for 3 hours, and I assure you he doesn't snore at all. So once I was asked by a British television presenter why he sleeps only for 3 hours. I said, if you have 4 wives, do you think you will sleep for more than 1 hour? So he has 4 wives anyway.
Uma foto que você tirou do Bin Laden na caverna mostra o Bin Laden ao lado de um fuzil e uma estante cheia de livros atrás. Essa proximidade entre armas e livros impressionou você de alguma maneira?
I believe the books were to impress me. You know, he wants to reflect an image of not a terrorist, but an intellectual man. That's, I believe, it was deliberately made. Most of it, you know, old books, textbooks. So I don't believe he reads all of these kind of things. But the Kalashnikov, he was proud of. He said he got this Kalashnikov, he said it is really very dear to him, this Kalashnikov, because he captured it when he managed to kill a Soviet general when he was fighting the occupation of the Soviet Union of Afghanistan. You know, Arab Mujahideen went to Afghanistan to fight Soviet troops there. So he said, I killed personally that general, and I captured this Kalashnikov, so I am proud of it. I take it everywhere I go. Actually, I didn't like the notion that he killed somebody and got his gun. You know, for me, coming from London, it was extremely difficult to accept that, but that's why he is, you know, proud of that Kalashnikov. And I'm sure when the American attacked him recently, last May, definitely he had that Kalashnikov with him.
Sobre essa primeira noite, você diz que o Bin Laden não dormia mais de 3 horas seguidas. Você conseguiu dormir?
My God, you know, if he sleeps, you imagine you are, you know, sleeping with a terrorist, yeah, so how can you sleep? But anyway, I didn't sleep for other reason. When I arrived at the cave, they said, this is your bed. We have to, you know, this was after dinner, definitely, which is a very nice dinner anyway, delicious. Yeah, anyway, so I couldn't sleep. Seriously, I didn't sleep for half an hour. Why? Because first, I was thinking, you know, how I am going all the way 8 hours with these lunatic drivers when the car is going down. If he was speeding up when he is going up, so how it will be when he goes down? So I was really scared to death because of this. All the time, seriously thinking how I am going to drive 8 hours with that man. So that's one thing. Second thing, they kept about 5 cars outside the cave, and they kept the engine running all the time, it's a diesel engine. And it very, very, very noisy. So it's not insulated cave, you know, it is just a cave. So imagine if you have 5 engines running at the same time, how can you sleep? You know, it's very, very noisy. The third reason, which is very important, I couldn't sleep because, you know, I was worried thinking, and there is something, you know, like a stick in my back. And so I decided to find out what's there. Then I pulled a gun. Then I pulled RBJ rocket-propelled grenade. And then there is a box full of hand grenades. So I was sleeping on arsenal of weapons, all type of weapons. So I couldn't sleep after that. Seriously, you know, my God, you know, I'm a very, very spoiled journalist. I admit I am not a guerrilla leader. I'm not, you know, just, so it was awful. I didn't sleep for half an hour. But the worst thing happened, yeah, Geneton, but just to complete. Just after less than half an hour of sleep, they wake me up. They said, Sheikh Abdul Bari, I said, yes. He said, it is dawn prayer. Dawn prayer? They said, yes, dawn prayer. And the problem is, with this dawn prayer, you have to wash. And to wash everything. You mean everything. So they gave me a bucket of water, yeah. It was, you know, warm water. And they said, go for wash. I said, is there a toilet here? They said, well, do you think you are staying in Sheraton Hotel? Find yourself a tree somewhere. So, and really when I went to, you know, because I'm shy, you know, they don't care. They just in front of the cave and wash. So for me, as a shy person, I had to go far away to find a tree behind the tree so nobody can see me because you have to take your clothes off. I was frozen. And I admit, I did pray, but without a wash. So God forgive me.
Antes de a gente partir para assuntos mais sérios, eu gostaria de uma curiosidade boba. O que é que vocês comiam lá na caverna? Qual era a culinária? Como é que funcionava lá?
Cuisine. Do you think, I ate in French cuisine? Seriously, he belongs to the wealthiest family in Arabia. His actually family is very wealthy, and they own the biggest construction company in the Middle East. So when you visit somebody like him and spending 8 hours on the mountains, circling the mountains, and coming from London, which is about 5,000 kilometers or 5,000 miles, you expect a good reception, a delicious meal, a stuffed lamb, a stuffed chicken, a stuffed elephant, anything stuffed. So dinner is served. So okay, I said that's it, because I'm really, starving, literally starving, and it was around midnight. So the meal was so poor. First, it was a rotten cheese. It's not like Swiss cheese, It's rotten because of the weather, because it was maybe there for 2,000 years before me. And then a potato swimming on oil, and then some beans cooked, not in lamb meat. It is in the fat of the lamb. It's just to me, and the fat is very thick like that. And about 5 fried eggs, again not with olive oil, but with cotton seeds oil, which is very, very bad taste. And the bread is maybe baked with some sand or something, I don't know. So when you chew it, you can hear the sand. So I wasn't able to chew it, just to swallow it. And started with, as a sign of politeness, started with the cheese, which was so awful. So, and then I shifted to the lamb and, these beans cooked in lamb. And it was because, imagine cholesterol and pressure, blood pressure and these kind of things. And so I saw the fat is like that on the top of it, so I avoided it. So I said maybe the best thing is the fried eggs, which I hate. So anyway, looked at the fried eggs, disappeared, because we were about 15 people around that luxury meal. So, I to be honest, ended starving. And as I said, the following day, it was a diarrhea and vomiting all the time. But I couldn't complain, otherwise they will accuse me of being spoiled and being, little boy or something like that. So I didn't complain at all.
Quer dizer, não começou muito bem a noite, né? O senhor, naturalmente, como todo jornalista, tentou gravar a entrevista com Osama Bin Laden, mas eu sei que ele não deixou que você usasse o gravador. Por quê? Deu alguma explicação?
Yeah, I thought I am, well-recognized journalist. I wouldn't sit like a little student. He dictates on me and I write. So I had my own tape recorder. He didn't let me use it. So I was very upset. But you cannot complain, those people can kill you, okay, so you have to be polite and nice and accept everything. You are not allowed to be nervous. I asked one of his colleagues, actually, his name Abu Mas'ab As-Suri, maybe he's in Guantanamo Bay now. I don't know. What shall I say? God bless him? I don't know. Anyway, so I asked why I wasn't allowed to use the tape recorder. He said Osama bin Laden first doesn't want his voice to be recorded. Second, he doesn't want to make grammatical mistakes, to look like idiot or stupid. What shall I do? And after I finished the interview, those advisors, one of them, his name Mustafa Hamid, or Abu Walid al-Masri, he was his media advisor. He knows everything except about the media anyway. So he said, no, we have to omit 2 answers of the interview. I said, why? He said, because it is dangerous and we don't want people to think badly of him. One of these answers about when he was kicked out of Sudan because he criticized the Sudanese government. And the other one, I asked him, one day you will be kicked out of Afghanistan the way you were kicked out of Sudan. Do you have any plan? Do you have a plan B, for example? Did you think where to go if you are forced to leave? So he said to me, Yemen will be the best destination because it has the same mountain like Tora Bora, and mountain is very protective. So they wanted to actually omit that answer. I said to him, let us bargain, you know. We cannot, because this is the best thing of the interview. So they decided, I said, okay, leave the Yemen story, at least answer, because it is a good headlines for me. And he agreed to leave that answer, actually. And we removed the Sudan questions. But after that, I used it again and republished it in different ways.
Você disse que depois da entrevista ficou com a impressão de que Bin Laden não era um homem comum. O que é que ele tinha de extraordinário pessoalmente?
Sorry. It's confusing. Once I was asked the same question. I was invited to give a talk to Commonwealth writers in Sri Lanka and Colombo. And a journalist, he was with the audience, and he asked me, how do you describe Osama bin Laden? Why he did what he was doing? I said, look, you know, he could be Gandhi, but a violent Gandhi, the man who actually gave up everything and dedicated his life for his cause. Or he could be Buddha, but a terrorist Buddha, because he gave up the wealth, the millions, the luxury life, and decided to live very humble way of life in Tora Bora caves. So he could be any of those. So when I dashed back to the airport, because it was actually before the invasion of Iraq, and I found out that there were about 25 journalists waiting for me from Indian subcontinent to ask me about that. How dare you compare a terrorist with Buddha or Gandhi? I said, I didn't compare. I said violent, terrorist. Listen to me. I think, yes, he is charismatic in a different way. He is loved among his own followers because he belongs to a very, very wealthy family and decided to give up everything and to go and live in Tora Bora and to fight first against the Soviet Union and then second against the American, as he considered his arch enemies. So yes, his charisma originated not because of his fiery speeches, but because of his personality and because of his family background.
Você teve a chance de ouvir de viva voz do próprio Bin Laden os motivos do ódio que ele devotava aos Estados Unidos, né? Que motivos eram esses? Você podia repetir o que é que ele disse a você?
Osama bin Laden hated the American for 2 reasons. First, personal reasons, and second, religious reason. The personal reason, he actually was very bitter. The American supported Al-Qaeda and supported the Arab Mujahideen when they were fighting the Soviet Union, and because the American would like to take revenge from Soviet Union because they helped the Viet Cong in Vietnam. So he felt he was used, and his companion also were used by the American. And when they finished the job, they were dumped, like, used tissue, like any other usable things. So he was very, very bitter, and he wants to take revenge for this. This is one reason. The second reason, I said it is a religious reason. He was a very radical person. He believed in the radical side of Islam. He believed that the West is atheist. They are not actually believer. They don't have faith. And, because in Saudi Arabia, where he grown up, you don't have Christian in that part of the world. So he doesn't know what's Christian, what Jews are. Never had experience of mixing with them. Yes, he supported Arsenal, the football team in London, but when it comes to religion, he is completely different. But in later stages, actually, he changed his attitudes, he changed his belief, and he started to talk to the American, talk to the Western people as actually a people of faith. So gradually he changed his certain convictions, and he accepted that. But I believe the personal grudges against the American is the most important thing, is the driving behind his hatred toward the West.
Agora, que referência ele fez ao fato de que tropas americanas estiveram na Arábia Saudita logo antes da Primeira Guerra do Golfo?
Osama bin Laden actually was very limited in his experience. He was, in the beginning, he wasn't actually thinking that Al-Qaeda will be the most dangerous organization on the world, maybe even our recent history. In the beginning, he wanted to oppose his own government, the corruption of Saudi Arabia. And he went to Sudan, and he actually invested in farming, in sunflower plantations, in mangoes, maybe because the weather in Sudan is tropical. It's very, very similar to your weather here in Brazil. And he started issuing statements against his own government until the American and the Saudi committed a grave mistakes. They always make mistakes. I don't know whenever they got it right, but anyway. So they decided to kick him out from Sudan. So the only place to go is Afghanistan, because who will take Osama bin Laden? They stripped him from his nationality, and they kicked him from Sudan. So he went there, and he decided in the beginning to fight the American troops in Saudi Arabia. American troops in that time, in 1990, they went to Saudi Arabia to liberate Kuwait and kick the troops of Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. So they managed to liberate Kuwait, kick Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait, but they stayed in Saudi Arabia. So he was extremely upset. He wanted at that time to kick the American troops from Saudi Arabia and to fight them the way he did kicked out the Soviet troops from Afghanistan. So he never thought of actually fighting the America outside Saudi Arabia or outside, the Arab world. But after that, the introduction of Ayman al-Zawahiri, the second man in command, actually made Al-Qaeda a global organization because he is a strategic mind, a strategic brain. So Osama bin Laden was very limited, and he doesn't believe that Al-Qaeda should be the strongest force in our recent history.
Algum tempo antes dos atentados de 11 de setembro, você recebeu uma ligação do braço direito do Osama bin Laden dizendo que a Al-Qaeda ia cometer um ato que os Estados Unidos jamais esqueceriam. Eu não quero transformar isso aqui num interrogatório, mas eu gostaria de saber o seguinte: por que você não avisou imediatamente alguém sobre essa ameaça?
That's a very good question. After the Bin Laden Al-Qaeda people were responsible of bombing the American embassies in Nairobi and Dar es Salaam, where about 400 people were massacred in a cold blood, President Clinton of the United States in that time he sent about 75 cruise missiles to hit Al-Qaeda bases in Afghanistan. So Osama bin Laden was furious. And incidentally, I was told that one of these missiles hit a house, and that house, Osama bin Laden with his field commander supposed to be having dinner together. But for obscene reason, unknown reason, they didn't go. So the missiles actually hit the place, and 5 people were killed only in these cruise missiles attacks. Osama bin Laden was curious. He instructed his military man, his name is Muhammad Atif, or Abu Hafs al-Masri, and he was the one who actually accompanied me in my touristic tour of Tora Bora. You know, he said to me, he phoned me, I had a private line. It is non-existent anymore because, you know, I don't want anything to be related to them since that day. Anyway, so he said to me, look, we have a message to convey to President Clinton through your newspaper. I said, my God, again, you know, FBI, MI6, and all these intelligence services. He said, yeah, we will teach the American a lesson they will never forget. We will actually hit them where it will hurt. We have a plan to take revenge from this, and they will regret the day they bombed us. So I published that, and nobody picked it up. 2 years later, or less than, maybe a year and a half later, you know, we actually waken up that Twin Towers actually were attacked the way we have witnessed 11th of September. So I published it, but nobody asked me. Thank God they didn't, because, you know, it will be recorded as if, you know, I am working for these intelligence service. So it didn't. So yes, it was published. But later stages, yeah, they inquired about that.
Há 4 anos, quando eu entrevistei você em Londres, uma matéria para televisão, você disse, eu perguntei a você, onde é que você procuraria Osama Bin Laden? E você me deu um palpite quase certeiro, né? Você disse, eu o procuraria perto de uma grande cidade do Paquistão. Hoje, o Departamento de Estado americano oferece 25 milhões de dólares pela captura do sucessor de Bin Laden, o médico Ayman al-Zawahiri. A pergunta é o seguinte, se você soubesse onde ele está, você o entregaria para receber essa recompensa de 25 milhões de dólares ou iria entrevistá-lo como você foi entrevistar o Bin Laden?
My God. Any FBI agents in the audience here?
Não.
CIA? Well, it is very, very critical questions. I wish I wouldn't pass through this experience. If I know, I was invited twice to interview Osama bin Laden after that famous interview. One was on May 2001, just 4 months before 11th of September. And I went to the Pakistani embassy and I got the visa and I was intending to go. But I changed my mind. And the second time, after 11th of September, I received a phone call from somebody I don't know, because the person, Abu Hafs al-Masri, who used to phone me, he was killed. So somebody else, I guess, you know, my guessing is he was Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the one who is actually in Guantanamo Bay, and he was the architect of 11th of September, or the operation there. He said, you know, the Sheikh would like to give you an interview. Could you come to Pakistan? That was actually after 11th of September, maybe 5 days or 6 days after that. So I didn't go, I didn't accept these offers for 2 reasons. First, what shall I achieve? I'm already, one interview is more than enough. And I don't want to go through the same experience as I did. Second, I'm already editor-in-chief. I'm already, you know, well-known journalist, so it wouldn't add anything to my profession or my professionalism. So the second, I'm sure once I go to the Pakistani embassy and got the visa, the American intelligence service will know that I am going to see Osama bin Laden, because they know I'm not going there to visit, the touristic places in Afghanistan or in Pakistan anyway. So they will know that I am in a mission to interview Osama bin Laden. And actually, I was offered also to interview Mullah Omar, which also another very lucrative offer. So if I go there, and definitely they will follow me, and they will send a missile to kill both of us. And that's it. And as I said, I want to enjoy my life. Second, if actually they manage to kill him and I survive, I will be accused of being, American agent. I actually told them where he is staying, and they killed him. So I wouldn't survive, because Islamic fundamentalist, his followers will kill me. So I will be dead in both ways, whether I killed with him or survived after he's killed. So I said, no, thank you very much. I've had enough of Al-Qaeda, enough of Osama bin Laden, and thank God I didn't go. So, about Geneton, about your questions, yes, I remember when you asked me, I was just analyzing the situation. Most of his men were captured or killed in big cities like Abu Zubaydah, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. For Abu Zubaydah in Hyderabad, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, he was captured in Karachi. The same thing, Abu Mus'ab al-Suri in Islamabad. So I guess they are in big cities, not actually in Afghanistan. So I kept saying that all the way. I believe he is not there. And he's not in Afghanistan, because he knows that the American concentrating their search for him in that part of the world, and he is clever enough to avoid that. And thank God, proved to be right. But our problem in Western world, they don't trust us. Once you are not actually white with blue eyes and fair hair and not American, not English, you are not actually trusted as a good journalist. That's the problem we are facing, and this is still the case. If you are American and said that, everybody will take it. If you are English and said that, everybody will believe you. But if you are somebody from a refugee camp in Gaza and said it, definitely they wouldn't believe you, and that's the case.
Uma curiosidade que todo mundo tem, quer dizer, você acabou de escrever um livro que ainda não foi publicado no Brasil, vai ser lançado em breve, sobre a nova geração da Al-Qaeda, né? Uma pergunta que fica é a seguinte: a morte de Bin Laden significa ou não o fim da Al-Qaeda? Que nova geração é essa?
When I said a new generation of Al-Qaeda, you have now the children of Osama bin Laden, those frustrated young Muslims who find themselves in a hopeless case. So, and Al-Qaeda now, as I said, it used to be one address. It used to be a pyramid-built organization. There is a head, there is a deputies, there is field commander, and then the base. Nowadays, as I said, there was one address for Al-Qaeda before 11th of September. It is the Hind Kush mountains, Tora Bora, the major square of Tora Bora, the major Tora Bora High Road, the third cave in the left. So this used to be the address of Osama bin Laden or Al-Qaeda. Now, Al-Qaeda is different organization. Al-Qaeda transformed. Now you have different headquarters of Al-Qaeda. You have Al-Qaeda in Iraq, which is actually regrouping again, and they are very strong. There is Al-Qaeda in Yemen, which again is very strong. There is Al-Qaeda in Somalia. They are hijacking these ships in the Arabian Sea. You have Al-Qaeda in North Africa, which is very dangerous, and now they have a lot of weapons because of the Libyan situation. Hundreds of thousands of pieces of weapons now in the open warehouses, anybody can use them. So this could reflect badly on North Africa, also in Europe, because what Al-Qaeda needs, a failed state and weapons. So that's why the new generation, they are not actually members of Al-Qaeda. They are members of the franchises of Al-Qaeda, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, like McDonald's. So you have it everywhere now. So those people are very dangerous. It depends on the Arab Spring. If the Arab Spring actually succeeds, and if we have those leaders, corrupt leaders, deposed, and if we have democracy, equality, transparency, human rights, and the rule of the law, yes, Al-Qaeda could shrink a bit. But if actually this Arab Spring is derailed by the American administration and certain Western power under the name of controlled changes, maybe the new generation of Al-Qaeda will be more dangerous than the old generation, the founders of Al-Qaeda.
Você teve uma longa história de convivência com Yasser Arafat, o líder da OLP, né, Organização pela Libertação da Palestina. Que dúvidas você tem sobre a morte de Yasser Arafat? Em sua autobiografia, você diz que tem dúvidas sobre as circunstâncias em que ele morreu. Que tipo de dúvida é essa?
I'm terribly sorry. When you talk about Al-Qaeda and Yasser Arafat, you lose your concentration anyway. I'm trying to be, on track, so I will try. Yes, Yasser Arafat, I used to be very close to Yasser Arafat. I don't know, I remember I was interviewed by Fox News. You know what's Fox News? This O'Reilly show. He said, Mr. Atwan, why you are always dealing with terrorists, fugitive people? You, Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein sent you messages, Osama bin Laden sent you his faxes, emails. Yasser Arafat, you was very close to him. So why? I said, look, because, I'm a journalist, and those people are looking for good journalists. So he said, no, you are dealing with fugitive. I said, listen, if you tomorrow, it was that time, it is, a fashion to receive emails or tapes from Osama bin Laden. I said, listen, if you on Fox News receive a video from Osama bin Laden, will you say to them, no, please take it to CNN or ABC, or will you broadcast it? I said, no, I said, look, answer me yes or no. If you receive tomorrow a videotape from Osama bin Laden, will you take it or will you throw it? He said, Mr. Atwan, the interview is finished. Thank you very much. So he stopped the interview. So I don't know, it could be lucky, and it could be a true journalism. Yes, I was very close to Yasser Arafat, and Arafat actually, I disagreed with him about Oslo agreements because I never thought it will work. I didn't like the way he is actually treating his own people, because he's using money to actually buy the loyalty of many people. Anyway, so about maybe a month before his death, I received a phone call from him. He said, it seems they managed to reach me. I said, who? He said, the Israeli. I said, how do you know? He said, I have, very strange feeling, and they could poison me. My health is not as it used to be. And he was really a genius man. He cared a lot about his health. Anyway, he expected that. For example, he used to eat only canned food, nothing open at all, and he put some sort of, iron metals on top of his headquarters. He thought a helicopter will land there and kidnap him. He kept a mask, anti-gas mask, beside his bed, thought that the Israeli will throw a bomb in him and actually paralyze him by gas and then kidnap him. And even, as I said, his fridge, he had, a lock, like old ladies' lock, and he has the only key to open the lock, so nobody can put any food in which is, contaminated or something. So I believe, yes, putting that into consideration, he could be poisoned by the Israeli. Ariel Sharon, the Israeli prime minister, he said clearly that he doesn't want to see him alive several times. Indicated that in several interviews or something. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was poisoned. And the French, actually, who did an analysis of his death, they said we tried 400 kind of poison in his body, and to find out whether the poison is used, one of those 400, but it wasn't. So it seems it is a very mysterious kind of poison. So I'm convinced he was poisoned and he was killed by the Israelis.
Você aceitou o convite da Al-Qaeda para entrevistar o Osama Bin Laden. Mas, com todo respeito, eu acho que você falhou como jornalista, porque recebeu 3 convites para entrevistar um grande personagem, Saddam Hussein, e não foi. Por quê?
This is a completely different story. Yeah, Saddam Hussein, when he invaded Kuwait, and when the Americans sent 500,000 troops there, we were very suspicious. And personally, I believe that this 500,000, not actually to liberate Kuwait. Definitely there is a different American agenda. So I was critical, very critical of the American presence in Saudi Arabia. And after that, I was very, very fierce critic of the American bombardment of Baghdad and the sanction which killed more than 1 million Iraqi. So I was really fierce in my criticism. I was a lone voice in the Middle East. Most of the people actually sided with the American plans to liberate Kuwait and to send troops there, and even to bomb Baghdad, because he is a dictator. He was dehumanized by the media. So I was accused of being, a spokesman for Saddam Hussein, the way I was accused to be a spokesman of Al-Qaeda. So I didn't want to go. I received 3 invitations from him. I didn't want to go because if I go, they will say, the Middle East. We believe in this conspiracy theory, or many people believes in it. So I didn't go. I will be accused. This is a proof that he is actually agent of Saddam Hussein. He is paid by Saddam Hussein, and he is defending Saddam Hussein. For this reason, I didn't go. But I admit, I do regret it. I wish I did go, and I wish I interviewed him. I may write another book similar to this one, and it could be, very profitable. This one translated to 30 languages. I made a little small fortune out of it, so I could be rich by now, but I missed the chance.
Bom, você é um jornalista de sorte porque recebeu grandes convites, né? Uma para entrevistar o Bin Laden, 3 convites para entrevistar o Saddam Hussein e uma para entrevistar o coronel, e um convite para entrevistar o Gaddafi. Para essa entrevista você foi. E houve uma curiosidade, que você disse no início da entrevista, que o Osama Bin Laden não permitiu que você usasse o gravador, que gravasse a entrevista. Já o Gaddafi foi o contrário, chegou para a entrevista com o gravador, o Gaddafi, ligou o gravador e deixou gravando tudo. Por quê? Ele explicou, não entendi. Por que essa desconfiança do Gaddafi em relação a você? E o que é que ficou dessa entrevista? O que é que ele disse a você?
I was threatened. I received death threat from Colonel Gaddafi for different reasons. But when I interviewed him last time, it was 1999. He was the darling of the West at that time. The sanction was lifted, and he was accepted, especially by the British government, because they wanted the oil, they wanted his reserves of money, his cash. So he was well groomed by the West. Anyway, I went there. There is something common of all those tyrants or terrorists. They are very soft. Gaddafi actually hand. He is really, really like a beautiful lady hand. Very, very soft. And he was very shy. He never looked at me eye to eye. When I looked at him eye to eye, he started looking at the roof or the ceiling and stray away from me completely. And I criticized his book, the Green Book. I said, you wrote this book about 30, 40 years ago. Or 30 years, 35 years ago in that time, yes, I remember. It has to be updated. It has to be actually, revised, because many things happened. The Soviet Union collapsed, the socialism collapsed, the Warsaw Warsaw was alliance is not existed anymore. He said, no, this green book is like a Bible. It lasted for thousands of years to come. So he was very, very vain, very arrogant at that time. But why he wanted to kill me, it was a funny story. I remember his foreign minister, Dr. Ali Tareki, he phoned me. He wasn't allowed to come to London at that time. When he dismissed the Palestinian from Libya, I wrote very fierce article about him at that time, criticizing him anyway. So the foreign minister phoned me. He said, I want to meet you tomorrow in Paris for something related to your life and death. It is a very serious matter. So when I heard it is life and death, I said, okay, I will go and see, find out. My death, I have been threatened several times, but another one doesn't matter. It's all right. So I went to see him. He said, you actually injured the honor of Gaddafi. I said, honor of Gaddafi? He said, yes. You said something very nasty, very impolite against him. I said, tell me, what did I say? He said, once you were interviewed by Sky News, and you accused him of being gay, homosexual. I said, me accusing him of being? He said, yes, you did. I said, I never did that. I'm not allowed to say that in television, because it is liable, and I could be sued and taken to court. And he said, yes, you did. You did imply that he is a gay, homosexual. I said, oh my God, yeah, I remember now. And he said he is, honestly threatening to kill you. And at that time, he sent his, henchmen to assassinate some of his opponents in Europe in particular. So I remembered I was interviewed by Sky News and talking about why he is dismissing and kicking out the Palestinian to the Egyptian border with Libya. And in the end, you remember, Geneton, journalists, presenters, television presenters, in the end, they say to you, okay, well, Mr. Atwan, in 30 seconds, why do you think he did that? I said, simply because he is a publicity maniac. My Shakespearean English came in that time. So, maniac in Arabic means gay, means homosexual. And he was sitting in his tent and watching that interview. And because an Italian journalist, Felice Flanger, something like that, she wrote a book and she said he's gay. So it coincided with that book. So he thought I am accusing him of being homosexual. So I said, please, I didn't mean it. This is a refined English word. Next time I wouldn't reflect my language muscles. I will use the very simple words. I will say, publicity crazy, publicity mad, but never to use again publicity maniac.
Você diz que não aprovava o regime de... Oh.
Just 1 minute.
No, okay, right.
Sorry, no problem.
Você diz que não aprovava o regime de Saddam Hussein, mas ficou chocado ao ver como ele foi executado. Eu queria saber o seguinte, a morte do Gaddafi, independentemente do fato dele ser ou não um ditador, chocou você também?
Personally, I never liked Gaddafi. Yeah, he was eccentric, and he was corrupt. His sons actually set a very bad example when, for example, his Mu'tasim son invited Beyonce and paid her $5 million to sing in one of his parties in New York, or his other son, Saif al-Islam, paid to another singer, I think Maria something, I don't know, I can't remember. I'm not really expert in these pop songs. Yeah, I don't know, even Arab pop song anyway. So we don't have time to listen to songs nowadays. So I remember, so they were very, very corrupt. But honestly, I was shocked to see Gaddafi killed the way he was killed. We in Arab Spring, we supposed to create a role model, a good example. We should actually impose the rule of law, democracy, respect human rights. We are against Gaddafi, we are against Saddam Hussein, we are against Hosni Mubarak because actually they were corrupt and they never respect human rights. So to see Gaddafi actually captured when he was alive and he was bleeding, and somebody actually hit him with his shoes, which is very insulting in our tradition, and after that sodomized and paraded his corpse for 4 days until it was rotten, and people visited him and with putting their fingers in their nose to avoid the bad smell. I was really shocked. This is not a good example for our Arab Spring. But it seems this is the problem when the American intervene, when the NATO intervene. That's the problem. They encourage them to kill him. I remember the leader of the Libyan Transitional Council budgeted $2 million for anybody who killed Gaddafi, capture Gaddafi and kill him. I was shocked. I wrote editorial saying, we cannot say that. We should actually capture him alive and bring him to justice. We should have a fair trial to him. So when he was sodomized, when he was sexually abused, when he was killed, I really felt very, very, very sorry. I wasn't actually popular among certain section of the Libyan people because they were full of revenge. But I had to say what I should say, and I said it. And again, I was insulted several times in several articles in the Libyan press, but I don't care. This is not the way we should deal with those dictators. They actually abused us. We should tell them, no, we are not like you. We are different from you. We will treat you in a very human way. So that's what happened.
O fato de a Primavera Árabe ter se iniciado com sangue na Líbia, no caso da Líbia, você acha então que é um mau sinal?
There are two schools of changing regimes we witnessed recently. The American school, which is supposed to be civilized, and the Arab school, which is supposed to be backward. The American schools of changing regimes, like what we witnessed in Iraq, Afghanistan, and recently in Libya, it's a school which uses B-52, F-15, F-16 cruise missiles. And the cost is huge. Because of the American style of changing regime in Iraq, we lost 1 million people killed. And the West lost $1 trillion. So in our school of changing regimes, we, the backward, we change a regime in Tunisia with the minimum of human cost. About 200 people were killed, demonstrators, protesters. In Egypt, about 250 were killed. That's all. And we changed the regime free of charge. So it shows you the difference. I was shocked to see, this NATO bombardment taking place, and nobody, a few people, very, very few people, and the Western media actually reported that. These 26,000 raids by NATO warplanes on Libya, it wasn't actually throwing flowers on the Libyan people on the other side. Definitely, they were throwing bombs. But who are the victims? We never been told about these victims. Certo was destroyed completely. Bani al-Walid was destroyed completely. But nobody raised a finger about that. And Gaddafi was killed, his son was killed, his defense minister was killed, brutally killed by cold blood, and few sympathy. Few people are saying this is injustice. We should actually bring those people to court and try them and let the world know what's happening. Now, we could witness another bloodshed in Syria and also in Iran. Now we heard a lot of threats that Israel could bomb Iran, and also American could bomb Syria via maybe Turkey, via another NATO adventures. So if this happens, I think this will end the Arab Spring, and it will end the dreams of 300 million people to have democracy, to have human rights, to have stability, to have elections, to have parliaments, to have transparency, to have accountability, to have the rule of law. So I am really worried now. If if there is a military intervention in Syria or or Israeli bombardment of Iran, we could have a very, very bloody Middle East. It could be violence. It could be, you know, Al-Qaeda will be a very soft organization. We could have violence. We could have terrorism. We could have instability. We could have wars, which could last for years, maybe decades. So I hope, yeah, no intervention is going to take place. The people in Syria are very courageous, and they are about to topple the regime. The people of Iran, they are very courageous, and definitely they will change their regimes. They tried it 2 years ago, and they will try again. By peaceful means, we can change our regimes. By military means, actually, we kill our spring, and we kill our aim, and actually, we play to the hands of the dictators.
Bom, agora acho que a gente pode partir para as perguntas. Vamos ver se dá tempo de fazer todas aqui, né? Uma pergunta da Valéria Torres. Ela pergunta como é que foi a viagem de volta da caverna do Afeganistão. Você estava com medo de como é que seria descer a montanha com aquele motorista tão habilidoso com quem você viajou, né? Ela pergunta se a viagem foi mais perigosa na volta do que na ida.
You know, it was a hair-raising experience. Again, you know, the driver, the same driver, which was bad omen, and he was driving very fast. And I was actually, imagine if you are in the aeroplane and there is a storm, you catch your seats all the time like that, you know, just, so I was like that, catching the seats and, you know, trying to pedal, putting my hands on the brakes or my leg on the brakes, something like that. So it was really difficult. And I remember when I took the flight from Peshawar to Dubai, I couldn't believe my eyes. You know, I sat on the business lounge there because my ticket was business anyway. I paid for it, not Al-Qaeda, just for the record. So I sat there, and really, I can't believe, you know, I'm still alive. Still, you know, so in order not to lose, you know, the experience, I start writing from Dubai airport, you know, just one page after page after page after page. So I don't want to lose anything. So no, it was very, very difficult. But thank God I arrived safe, and I arrived home. As I said, I arrived home safe. And since immediately after 2 minutes of my arrivals, you know, the quarrel with my wife started, and it never stopped.
Uma pergunta de Maria da Graça. Você tem certeza de que Bin Laden morreu? Ninguém viu o corpo dele. Acho que ele não morreu, diz Maria da Graça. Então a gente pergunta, o que é que você acha?
I think he's dead, but, you know, the question is whether he was killed when the American raided his house, or he was actually dead before. Why we cannot see a picture? Why we cannot see a video? The Americans are expert in pictures and videos. So why we cannot see that? We only listen to the American narrative of what happened. It is a James Bond read. But what's the truth? I know there is a cover-up for many reasons. The first reason, his 3 wives, you know, he still got 3 wives, 3 widows now. They were taken with his children by the Pakistani intelligence service, and they were put in a house. Until now, they were not allowed to leave that house. They're supposed to go back to their families, to their countries. But the Pakistani government refused access to members of their family to visit them. I know that the brother of the last or the 3rd wife of Osama bin Laden, she was young when he married her. She was about 16 years of age, and he had 5 children from her. And he told me he went to Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, and he tried his best to meet his sister, to take her back with her children to Yemen, but he refused access to her. So there is something to hide about this. If what the Americans said is true, and they killed him, so why they don't let the wives to go back? Why they don't show us any pictures? They show us pictures of Saddam Hussein, his sons when they were killed. He was paraded in front of cameras. Gaddafi, we have seen him there killed. So why we cannot see a picture of Osama bin Laden? The other point is why they dumped him in the sea. Why actually, they said we buried him according to the Islamic laws, Islamic Sharia. I never heard that Islamic Sharia, you have to dump people for the sharks on the sea, the bodies of dead people on the sea. I don't know what kind of Sharia they are talking about, what kind of Islam they are talking about. I'm sure he was dead maybe before the American raid, and it was fabricated, but we are still waiting for the truth. But what amazed me, Geneton, why the Western media never actually tried to dig for the truth? Why they are not questioning the American narratives? Why they are not saying, we want the truth? Suddenly, they kept silent, and until now, we don't know what happened.
Uma pergunta de José Petri. Valeu a pena destruir a Líbia, o país mais rico da África, e matar milhares para se livrar de Gaddafi na Líbia?
Well, to be honest, it is unfair. The problem is, if you are not with the American camp, you are always demonized, dehumanized, and always there is a suspect about professionalism. That's the case. I think, Gaddafi would fall, whatever. It could take longer, maybe, 2 years, maybe 6 months, a year. You can help those people. He's not really a deeply rooted man. He's not a strong man. But to use the NATO, to use this military machine to kill, thousands of Libyans, to destroy the country, I think it was actually appalling. I believe NATO is not a charitable organization. I would like to draw your attention to a fact that America never intervened by military means in the Arab world unless these countries have oil. They intervened in Iraq because Iraq have 190 billion barrel of oil reserve. They intervened by military means in Libya because Libya has $200 billion cash on the American and the British and the French banks. And they have $60 billion oil revenue every year. So because of that, actually, they intervene in Libya. And because of that, they intervene actually in Iraq. But when it comes to Yemen, no intervention at all. The Yemenis people are protesting for the last 9 months. The American never paid attention at all, and they never imposed sanction against the regime in Yemen because the regime in Yemen is fighting Al-Qaeda. They never intervene in Bahrain. Bahraini people are suffering from suppression the same way like other people in the Arab world. The American never actually criticized the Bahraini government. Saudi Arabia is the most corrupt country on earth. It's ruled by autocratic regime. The American never actually raised a finger against Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is doing, or the rulers of Saudi Arabia is doing what the American want them to do. That's the fact. So we have our suspicion about this intervention, and personally, I disagree because of this, and I'm really flogged. You cannot imagine, the attacks against me. Even imagine, America is the free world. I applied to get a visa to the United States several times. They didn't say no, but usually I missed my deadline. If I'm coming for a lecture like this, for a participation in a carnival or a festival, they wait until the deadline or the day of my lecture passed, and they say, we haven't received any instruction to give you a visa. Imagine that, what kind of danger I pose to the United States, the strongest power on earth. It shows you that there is something fishy now is cooked for the Middle East. I don't know. Maybe it will be a third world war, and now maybe 5,000 were killed brutally in Syria, definitely. But when it comes, if there is a military intervention, maybe hundreds of thousands of people will be killed, the way they were killed in Iraq. If Iran is going to be bombed tomorrow by the Israelis, and tactical nuclear weapons could be used, again, maybe hundreds of thousands of people will be killed. So I don't know. When it comes to us, when it comes to non-American, it doesn't matter. There is no counts of the dead people. Nobody can tell us exactly how many people were killed in Iraq. Nobody can tell us how many people were killed by NATO raids. But if there's American killed in Afghanistan, we know how many people are killed. We know how many people killed in Iraq. We are worthless. we don't count. If they kill 100,000, doesn't matter at all.
Tem mais de uma pergunta aqui sobre a Primavera Árabe. Talvez a gente possa reuni-las, né, numa só. Uma pergunta aqui de Rita Monteiro, Ricardo Alencar. Eu vou juntar as perguntas sobre a Primavera Árabe numa só, senão não vai dar tempo a gente terminar aqui. Que democracia surgirá dos países árabes? Uma democracia laica, como na Turquia, ou uma democracia com um partido dominante e financiado pelos Estados Unidos, como no México?
The United States would like, American-style democracy, a democracy which actually keep the situations as it is. If the ballot boxes produce a government, a pro-American government, so it will be a good democracy. If it does produce a government which is critical of the United States, its domination of the region, saying that we should put an end to the Israeli humiliation of the Palestinian, in this case, it wouldn't be accepted democracy. That's the problem we are facing. I went to Tunisia to witness the first ever transparent free election in Tunisia. People were queuing for 6 hours in a very hot sun, because we don't have, like you here, certain proper preparation for election. 6 hours queuing in the sun and with happiness to cast their votes. People are hungry for democracy, but they want their own democracy, democracy which can serve their own interest, not American interest, not British interest, not French interest. That's the problem we are facing now. So I asked an old lady, I said, you are old, and for how many hours you've been queuing? She said, I have been queuing for 5 hours. I said, but you are old and you look ill. She said, I was ill before, the topple of Ben Ali, the dictator. Now I have a very, very good health. And now I am proud of my health. I can actually queue for 10 hours. Democracy worth queuing. So that's the democracy we are looking for in the Middle East, but not the selective democracy. They are scaring, there is a lot of reports now in the Western media talking about Islamic fundamentalism. They could take over in Tunisia, they could take over in Egypt. We have Christian Democrats ruling Italy, ruling Germany, ruling other parts of Europe. So why we cannot have actually a Muslim parties ruling in Tunisia or ruling in Egypt? We have two good examples of Islamic parties ruling Muslim countries in our part of the world. So we have the experience of Turkey. Turkey is ruled by Justice and Development Party, which is Islamic party. And look what this party did to Turkey in the last 10 years. Turkey, when they took over, Turkey was a bankrupt, corrupt country. And the inflation more than 20%. And it was actually drowning in debts. Now, after 10 years of this Islamic party, Turkey is the 17th strongest economy in the world. And actually Turkey, which was refused to join European Union because it is not good enough, Turkey now actually in better shape than most of European Union countries, better shape than Greece, which is bankrupt, better shape of of Italy, which is bankrupt, better shape than of Spain, which failed to repay its debts, and the same thing to apply to Portugal and Ireland. So let them, most of these, I met Ghanouchi, the head of Islamic Party in Tunisia, who won about 45% of the seats in the parliament. He said, we will never interfere in tourism. We will never close the alcohol bars. We never actually impose veil in women in Tunisia. We never actually impose polygamy, for the husband or for the man to marry more than one woman. So, they said, look, we are follow the Turkish example. So we are not worried. If we want actually to let the ballot box decide, we have to respect the decision and the wish of people. And the Americans should stay away. We had enough of them. They actually destroyed our part of the world. We deserve to have peace. We deserve to have stability. We deserve to have democracy like everybody else.
Correr um pouco aqui. O Ricardo Moreira pergunta, na sua opinião, quais as reais e verdadeiras diferenças entre a atuação do atual e do ex-presidente dos Estados Unidos quanto ao terrorismo?
I admit I was one of the optimistic people when President Obama was elected. It was very nice to see, one of us elected to be the president of the greatest power in history. So I was very enthusiastic. I said, this is the Western democracy. This is the democracy we are aiming at. But unfortunately, my optimism didn't last. Gaza war took place. And you cannot imagine, the destruction happened to Gaza. As I said, I was born in a refugee camp in Gaza. Gaza is 150 square miles. 2 million people actually squeezed, cornered in that strip, small strip. And when the Israeli bombarded Gaza, about 1,400 people were killed. And about 60,000 houses were actually destroyed. And my niece, nephews, and relatives' houses were one of these houses destroyed completely. Nobody raised a finger about that. So nobody actually, the NATO did not intervene to put an end to this massacre of the Palestinian people in Gaza, the way they did actually when they intervened to save the people in Libya, to create a no-fly zone in Tripoli. So I wonder, once I was with Bernard Levy, a French philosopher, he said, we were in a television program in London, he said, I phoned when I saw Gaddafi sending his tank to encircle Benghazi and to commit a massacre there, I phoned President Sarkozy of France, said to him, please intervene, please prevent this massacre. And actually he did immediately. I said to him, Mr. Levy, thank you very much. I really appreciate your effort. But please, why you didn't phone your Sarkozy when the Israeli warplanes were bombing Gaza? He said, because Gaza is ruled by a terrorist organization called Hamas. I said, but those people are human. And Hamas was elected. And he actually said, no, it is a different story. So, yeah, our people should be massacred, according to many people in the West, but, and no NATO to save them at all, no fly zone for Gaza, simply because Gaza has no oil at all.
Bom, a gente... Eu tenho duas perguntas a fazer. A gente terminou falando um pouco aqui sobre a questão palestina, né? Ele vai estar na tenda dos autores, eu acho, daqui a pouco. Então, se faltou fazer alguma pergunta de alguém, vocês vão ter a chance de falar com ele pessoalmente. Eu queria perguntar a você o seguinte, você termina assim a sua autobiografia. Quer dizer, eu falei no início aqui, ele nasceu na faixa de Gaza, né, num campo de refugiados palestinos, logo depois da criação do Estado de Israel. Ele nasceu em 1950. E você termina assim a sua autobiografia. Respeito o povo judeu e sua religião. Não quero a destruição de Israel, mas quero que acabe o racismo e o atual sistema de apartheid. Então a pergunta é, qual vai ser o próximo passo nesse drama sem fim, nesse conflito no Oriente Médio? Você teria uma solução assim a curtíssimo prazo para resolver essa questão?
I have a message to the Israelis. I will say to them, please, stop hating us. Please, let us live in peace together. Let us coexist. Let us live in one state where everybody is equal. Let us be like Brazil, like United States, multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial, all colors, all religion. You live together in a beautiful democracy, and you are creating an emerging superpower. So let us live together. Why not? Why we can live together in Golders Green in London, for example? We can live together in Manhattan in the United States. Why we cannot live together in this piece of land? We can create a paradise, a heaven. A good example for coexistence to everybody in the world. So let us have one state, exactly, and with tolerance, the way the South African did. We like to set a good example, a rule example for everybody in the world, that Jews and Arabs who are Muslim and Christian, Jews and Arabs can live together in one state and coexist and set a good example. I hope they respond positively to us. We don't want to live in ghettos. We don't want them to live in ghettos. We like to live as a human being, like everybody else. I hope they listen.
Bom, é a primeira vez que ele vem ao Brasil. A gente estava conversando aqui rapidamente antes de vir aqui para o palco, e ele estava impressionado, bem impressionado, né? Ele disse com a felicidade ele achou do povo brasileiro. Ele disse que andou na praia hoje, todo mundo, isso realmente deve ter acontecido, ele não viu ninguém com a cara muito séria aqui no Brasil, todo mundo rindo, e estava bem impressionado também com ele vive na Inglaterra, lá todo mundo se trata pelo sobrenome, e aqui você, 2 minutos depois de conhecer a pessoa, já virou amigo de infância e se trata pelo primeiro nome, né? Um sinal de intimidade. E eu estava me lembrando que, no caso, a coisa que mais chamou a atenção no Brasil nele é essa capacidade do Brasil de convivência, de todo mundo, de tolerância, né? E ele estava me dizendo isso, que ele sonhava com o Brasil como um bom exemplo. Eu acho que a Fliporto terminou, por coincidência, funcionando como um exemplo disso, que eu participei o ano passado da Fliporto, entrevistando uma sobrevivente de um campo de concentração, uma mulher que esteve em Auschwitz. E agora a gente está ouvindo o depoimento do Abel Bari Atwan, que viveu no campo de refugiados, e ele, aliás, o título do livro dele, da autobiografia é isso, é um país de palavras. Ele diz que vive num país de palavras, sem querer parecer grandiloquente aqui, mas é meio homem à procura de uma pátria, né? Uma questão que não se resolveu até agora. Então, para fechar, eu gostaria só de perguntar a ele o seguinte: quando os tanques soviéticos invadiram a Tchecoslováquia, né, para esmagar a chamada Primavera de Praga, um estudante pichou no muro, ingenuamente, a seguinte frase, talvez ingenuamente, né? O estudante, chocado com aquela violência, escreveu: acorda, Lenin, eles enlouqueceram. Como se os tanques da União Soviética, os líderes da União Soviética tivessem enlouquecido. E eu pergunto a ele, se ele tivesse a chance de fazer uma pichação sobre esse problema que ele enfrenta aí, de procurar uma pátria, o que é que você escreveria no muro?
It's a very difficult question. I will say, our Jewish cousins, you suffered a lot. You suffered under the Nazi. And we are suffering a lot under you, under your occupation. So please, you have your homeland. And also we want to have our homeland. Let us live together. Let us love each other. We had enough suffering. We have enough, actually, brutality. We have enough bloodshed. So it is time to live in peace and to set a good example for everybody. That's what I will write.
Bom, ok, obrigado a vocês. Eu nem preciso dizer a ele que aqui no Brasil as portas vão estar sempre abertas para ele também. Muito obrigado, boa noite.
Fliporto, 7ª Festa Literária Internacional de Pernambuco.
Olinda, tens a paz do